Stand up, New York Mets fans. Today, it's game one of a doubleheader between the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals. I know, about 2 weeks overdue that I do this game. I was originally supposed to do this the day of WrestleMania Night 1, but regional coverage screwed me over. And why do I say game one? It's because yesterday there was supposed to be a game between these two, but due to the massive amount of rain that's been coming from the Mississippi Delta area, which is where St. Louis is located, there was no way the game could be played yesterday. After this series, the Mets head to Minnesota to take on, we head to Arizona to take on the Diamondbacks, and then three against the Cubs at home. The line for the Mets today is Francisco Lindor at short, Juan Soto in right, Pete Alonso at first, Brandon Nimmo playing DH, moved up to the fourth slot, Jesse Winker in left, Luis Torrens at behind the plate catching, Jeff McNeil at second, Luis Angel Acuna at third, and Jose Azocar in the hot corner batting ninth. There'll be Lars Nootbaar, Nate Burleson, Brendan Donovan, Nolan Arenado, Wilson Contreras, Gorman, Pajes, Scott II, and Barrero playing right, DH, left, third base, first base, second, catching, center, and short, respectively, for St. Louis. Eric Fetty takes him out for the Cardinals. He'll go up against Blake Tidwell, who's been called up by the Mets to start this game. I don't understand the logic behind this. As to me, you're just throwing fresh meat to the wolves. Something that got Carlos Mendoza into a lot of hot water, not once, but twice last year. Once against Houston, which basically briefly killed the boom of June, and around 4th of July, the week coming out of the 4th of July, against Pittsburgh, where the Mets could have won a series at PNC, and instead had to split because, once again, what's been my biggest issue with Carlos Mendoza, his needless gambling habit when it comes to the pitching core, as well as his overuse of the bullpen, which has led to both AJ Minter and Danny Young having to go career seasons being cut short again this year. More so for Minter with again, as he couldn't pitch at all last year for Atlanta. And for Young, this is going to be his first time having to go under facing the unfortunate inevitability of all baseball pitchers. The dreaded namesake, Tommy John surgery. Yeah, he had to go under the knife. It's a single admission doubleheader for those wondering. 59 degrees and relatively cloudy. All righties on the bench today for the Mets. That's in their alternate throwback road blue unis. Eric Fetty this year, 6 starts, 1 win, 3 losses, 4.68 ERA. He's given up 3 homers. Opposition hitting 235 against him. 16 walks, 17 strikeouts, 28 hits, and 32 and 2/3 innings, and a WHIP of 1.35 innings per start. He averages around 5.5. First pitch from Lindor. We're underway. Takes a fastball, strike one. This year against St. Louis, Lindor's 8 for 23 with 2 homers, 3 RBIs. He'll take his batter's timeout. Yeah, 12 a 12 ERA in the first inning this year. Your curveball's low and just misses 1-1 for Fetty in the first. 1-1 pitch. Strike two on the slider or changeup. Cutter's high, 2-2. I was waiting for Gary to fix that. In 12 careers start against the Mets, and he gets Lindor's swing on the cutter, on the cut fastball up and in. Yeah, Mets couldn't find a way to get that little bastard out. Here's Soto. First pitch, curveball, strike one. Soto hasn't had a lot of luck for the Mets in, in his first month as a Met. 5 or 6 weeks as a Met. Strike two as he takes a fastball in. That one's up and away, 1-2. 1-2. Too high, 2-2. Just misses, full count. Down on the curve. Lonzo waiting in the wings. Then Nimmo and Nimmo in the foxhole. Half pitch. Driven to right field. Going back. And it's caught by Nootbaar at the wall. Just died before it got to over the fence. Here comes Alonso. And he takes strike one, fastball. Fouled off, 1-0-2. It's Arenado at third, Contreras at first, Nolan and Gorman at second, Jose Barrero at short, Victor Scott in center, Lars Nootbaar right. Fly ball, right center toward the gap, and that ball is going to go off the fence. Alonso's going to make his way into second with a double. Nimmo's up next, and he takes a cutter up and out, ball one. That let off the seventh that basically put the game out of reach for St. Louis. This one's going to right field toward the corner. And that also hits the base of the fence. Alonso's going to come home easily. Nimmo slides in, back-to-back doubles, and the Mets draw first blood. So a pair of back-to-back doubles gets the Mets on the board first. Strike one on the fastball to Winker. More than likely, Nimmo will start the second game in left. Changeup just misses the out inside part of the plate. 1-1. Strike two. Too high. 2-2. Me from a southpaw. Torrens is on deck. McNeil in the foxhole. 2-2 pitch. Low. Full count. Out with the sweeper. Yeah, with sinker ball, with guys who throw the sinking fastball, you expect them to force opposing batters to hit on the ground, as that's what the function of a sinker ball is. But with Fetty, this hasn't been the case. And he goes high with the cut fastball, ball four, and the Mets now have runners on first and second with 2 men out. Here's Luis Torrens, who has not been hitting well against St. Louis. Granted, he started this year as the team's catcher with Alvarez out on the shelf for the first 6 or 7 weeks. First pitch, cutter in there for a strike. That looked more like a ball to me. On the box. Seriously, why can't the umps follow the box? This one's driven to left. It's playable, and Donovan catches it at the end of the edge of the track to retire the side. But the Mets do get a run on a couple of doubles, but they strike 2 out. First at top of the first complete. Cardinals won, and the Mets won, and the Cardinals coming up. Thank you, Sean Mac. So the Mets are getting hard hits off of Betty. The problem is the outfield. The issue is wind is basically killing balls that have home run potential, and they're only getting doubles that hit off the base of the fence, that hit off the fence at best hit off the fence instead of going over the fence. And worse, dying when it gets And at worst, those balls are dying as soon as they get to the edge of the warning track for out. Oh, Nolan Gorman, Pedro Paez. And there's Blake Tidwell, 6 starts, an ERA of 5, 1-2 record in AAA with AAA Syracuse. I have a bad feeling about this, and I don't think anyone can blame me for it. But let's see what he's got. I question why call this kid up, this young righty up. First pitch on its way. He takes a fastball right over the plate, strike one. Does Newt Bar. That's way too high, 1-1. Takes another heater, 1-2. I just hope this kid is not just throwing fastballs that are meatballs all damn game, which is my biggest concern. He won't goes with a changeup that felt more like a sweeper, but it's too far out. 1, 2, and 2. The grounder scooped up by McNeil. Throw to Alonso. One down. And there's Blake's parents. Well, given how cold it is today in St. Louis, can't blame them. Burleson takes a sweep, takes a cutter outside. Strike one. Fastball just misses. 1-1. Knowing Murdoch, he's probably doing Yankees versus Rays. Ball two. 2-1 pitch. Low and away. Low and in. 3-1. 1. Tidwell finds himself behind the 8 ball in the early going. Whacks one in the right field for a base hit. Odo will have to scoop it up. So Burleson's on with a single. Burleson's on with a single. And that's going to be a pass ball. It's going to move Burleson to second. Can I ask why Mendoza is gambling by having Acuna at third when he's clearly either a career shortstop or second baseman, not a third baseman? If we lose this game, it's all on. If the Mets lose this game, this is on Mendoza's stupid desire to gamble. This one's popped up. Infield flying effect. Acuna under it. They'll make the catch. 2 down. Here's Arenado. Arenado loves those red hot cookies in the plate. But this year, he's only hitting 237 career wise against the Mets. And this also includes his time in Colorado. He's a 258 hitter. Chopper the third. Acuna scoops it up. Fires. Got him. And that retires the side. So one hit, one stranded for St. Louis. We go to the second. Mets 1, Cardinals nothing. I hate it when this happens. I wouldn't give her counterexamples to some of that crap. Now, the Mets did lose half a game on their lead yesterday due to the fact that the Philadelphia Phillies were able to play against Arizona, while the Mets were not able to play against St. Louis. Granted, Mother Nature is very capricious. Mother Nature has a very capricious is very capricious. Granted, that in my view is mostly due to how capricious of a nature Mother Nature possesses. Let's go to the second inning. And right off the bat, McNeil grounds it out. Son of a bitch. Low slide, low sinker, and that's what you expect with a guy like Eric Fedden. Damn right he is, Gary. In his last 5 starts, Eric Fedde is 0-3 with a 5.40 ERA, and the Cardinals have lost all 5 coming into this. Here's Angel Acuna, and he takes a fastball out, ball 1. Chops one, high, up. Gorman barehanded it, but it pulled Contreras off the bag. That's an infield hit for Luis Angel Acuna. He barehanded it perfectly, but the problem was the throw threw Contreras off the bag. He threw it too wide, which took Contreras off the bag, off the base. Here's Jose Azocar. And he takes strike 1. This one's popped up, shallow right. Who's going to get it? Who's got it? It's Gorman who's got it. I couldn't really see who caught it, but it looks like it was Gorman. Let's check the replay. Ooh, stepped on the hand. Yeah, lucky it was his glove hand and not his throwing and batting hand. And that is a pretty nasty cut on the finger of Nolan Gomar. Gorman. Oh! Yeah, that is a bad. I'm not gonna lie, that is a bad cut. Lindor up next. Newport Bay trying to pick him off, but he gets back safely. Acuna 7 of 8 on the base pads this year. He's only been caught once. First pitch, strike one. They throw back to first. Or ball one, excuse me. One 0 pitch is low, 2-0. Two 0 grounded, scooped up, and Gorman cut finger and all throws Lindor out. So the Mets only strand a runner at first on infield hit. Nothing else develops. Inning and a half complete. Mets 1-0 Mets. First pitch is strike one to Wilson Contreras. Contreras drives one to right field, and that ball is gone. Tie game. Bet him a cookie, and he paid for it. No, will not. Fouled off by Gorman. Outside, 1-1. Ball 2. Gorman fouls that one off, and the count's even at 2-2. Popped up and going behind the scenes. Too far in, full count. And goes upstairs, ball 4. Again, I question why in the hell did Mendoza call this little bastard up? Why is it he infuriates me with his needless gambling with the pitching core? If he had started McGill today instead of going to Tidwell in the first game, and then maybe saved Tidwell for the second, I wouldn't have been this angry out of the out of the gate. Strike one the pot has. Swing and miss, strike 2 the pot has. And he got him swinging. First career major league strikeout for Tidwell. One down after to bounce back after giving up a homeless leadoff bomb to Contreras and a walk. Does the push bunt. Cunha bare hand. Not in time. Women just better to keep that in your pocket, kid. Yeah, Mendoza better not burn the challenge trying to question this. Scott was clearly safe on that. He beat the ball to the bag. Strike one to Barrero. Good grief, Gary. Seriously? Ball one. That's popped up. Shallow right. McNeil calling off Soto. He makes the catch. Two down. Newbar grounded out second to first last time he was up. Takes a fastball. Strike one. That's way too high. 1-1. 2-1. Feel more like a throwback to me. 2-2 on the backdoor cutter. And Newport Bart goes down looking. Strike three, but St. Louis does even it up. Up on a leadoff bomb by Contreras. Tidwell pitches himself into a bit of trouble, but he's able to get out of it. Through two, Mets one, Cardinals one. First pitch to Soto, and he takes one low, ball one. Cutter, slider, catches the outside corner, 1-1. That was a changeup, excuse me. Soto waits. That's line to left center field and a base hit. Soto will have to hit the brakes and settle for a single. Alonso up next. Alonso rips one to the left field line. That's a fair hang for the track. That's a double. Donovan will scoop it up. Soto will hit the brakes and go to third. Alonso with his second double of the game. And the Mets now have runners on second and third and nobody out. If that ball bounced around a little more, you know Soto would have been taken off of the plate. That one's bounced away on the slider. Ball 1. The only place he's not leading the NL is in RBIs. That's owned by Dodgers Teoscar Hernandez, and Nimmo takes one on the corner, 1-1. Smart move when you think about it for St. Louis. Their only chance of cutting down the lead runner is if it gets hit to the third base side. That one does, but it bounces foul, 1-2. This is what happened in the first inning. Nimmo lining a double off the fence and right. Last 5 games, the Mets have averaged 8.2 runs after only averaging 4.2 in their first 28. That one is fouled off. One-two pitch. Right back to the mound. Only plays the first. Yeah, Soto wasn't taken off that easily. And even if Soto did take off for the plate, he would have been cut down. He would have been caught in a rundown and then cut down pretty easily. So smart move by the Mets to not send Soto to the plate on that kind of a hit. Winker drives one to left. This is deep enough to get Soto home. Donovan will make the catch. Soto tags, and the Mets retake the lead. It's 2-1. And the Mets go up 2-1. Here's Luis Torrens, and he takes strike 1 on a fastball. Inside, 1-1. That one gets away. A pass ball on Pajes, and Alonso will move over to third. I'd say that's a pass ball since it did hit the glove. They call that a wild pitch. That was a pass ball without question in my mind. If it hits the glove and the catcher can't snatch on it, that's a pass ball, not a wild pitch. To me, a wild pitch is when the ball gets away badly from the catcher. Ball three. He misses outside. Torrens will take first. And once again, McNeil stupidly swings at the first pitch, popping it up. Arenado gets in foul territory and ends the inning. But the Mets do get one on 2 hits, stranding the runner at stranding two. 2.5 complete, 2-1 New York 2, St. Louis 1. I mean, seriously, Jeff, why are you gambling on that kind of a pitch? Not to mention you didn't bring your hands in, move up on the move up on the hand on the court on the hook of the crick of the bat, and you popped it up, you dumbass. Burleson, Donovan, and Arenado due up for the Cardinals in the third. So far, neither pitcher has been able to get a clean inning, i.e., a 1-2-3 inning. Through the first 2.5. Ball one. That one's popped foul. Got good wood on it, but it just went to the seats. Behind the plate and into the seats. 1-1. Popped up. This time Alonso under it in foul ground. Got it. One down. Yeah, needless to say, not Either went over fairly well. Scott had the lead blown by, had his start basically ruined by lack of offensive plate discipline and an incompetent desire to gamble by relying on Adam on a by Mendoza relying on Otto Ottavino last year in Tampa. And 2 years ago, I don't know how it played out with Verlander, but I think it was pretty bad. Donovan lines a right field shot, base hit. And like I said, once again, the stretch continues for both pitchers. Neither Eric Betty or Blake Tidwell have gotten a clean 1, 2, 3 inning through the first two plus, through the first 2.5 innings on either side. Swing and a miss by Arenado, strike one on the sweeper. Swing and just stares at the second pitch, 0-2. Line, base hit. Winko will have to lower it, and now it's runners on first and second and one man out. Again, I'm not sure. Will constantly and forever question why Mendoza continues to frustrate me with his habit of gambling with pitcher gambling. Something I want to put his neck in a noose for every time he does something this stupid. Putting in fresh meat against seasoned players and hitters like a Newt Bar, a Burleson, Donovan, Arenado, and especially Wilson Contreras, who smashed a homer that tied the game up off of the kid. It almost hits him, ball one. Strike one. Torrens looks back the runner at first. Fouled off, 1-2. Met Stars have gone 33 games giving up 4 runs or fewer to start a year. Up and away, 2-2. That's another base hit. And McNeil runs it down, holding Donovan to third. Now you got to bring the infield in. Again, I question why the hell did Mendoza push McGill back so he can do another needless bullpen gamble, needless pitch gamble, pitcher gamble. Someone needs to drill into Mendoza's head. There's a right time to do pitcher gambling and a wrong time to do pitcher gambling. And bringing in fresh meat is the wrong time. And bringing in fresh meat like Mr. Tidwell here is the wrong time. Is the wrong type of time to gamble, especially when they're just lining shots in the right off him. Here's Nolan Gorman. And it's popped up. Going left field line. Winker under it. makes a catch. Donovan's going to tag. Throw is not in time. Tie game. Arnott breaking. Got him in a run down, and they're going to tag him out. Run counts, though. And the Donovan run does count, and the Cardinals have tied it back up. I don't know why they were trying to I don't know why St. Louis was gambling there, doing base path gambling, but that was a stupid move. Nevertheless, they do tie the game. Going into the third, it's coming out of the third and going into the fourth, it's the Mets 2 and the Cardinals 2. Seriously, what were the Cardinals thinking trying to gamble on that kind of play? When I say Carlos Mendoza's pitcher gambling frustrates me, folks, I mean it frustrates me. Even if it gets him short-term success, long-term, once the Mets start to go downhill, whenever that happens, not if it happens, but when, the gambling is going to have the consequence of costing him his job, all because he can't keep himself. He can't seem to break that. He can't seem, nor does he want to seem to break this habit. Angel Acuna, Zokar. Strike one to Acuna. One to Acuna, who got an infield single on his first at bat. Ball two. Swing and a miss at the sweeper, 2-2. Full count. Just off the outside edge, and Acuna gets himself a leadoff walk. Fouled off by Lindor, by Zokar, 1-1. That's true, Keith. You were a first baseman with both these teams, not a third. You were at first base with both teams, not at third during your playing career. Zokar popped out to second in his first at bat. Zokar fouls one off down the right field line this time, 0-2. 1-2. Thanks, Stevie. 1-2 pitch. And they try to pick Acuna off and they fail. So that's one disengagement. Betty has probably been up to speed on the rule changes that have been in place since 2023. 1-2 pitch to a Zokar. And just catch me. Just stares at the sweeper. Strike 3, 1 down. 3 strikeouts for St. Only the second strikeout of the day for the Mets. Lindor has struck out and he's grounded out. And like I said, so far, both sides have not been able to get a clean inning. And for the pitching core, i.e., no one has gotten a clean 1, 2, 3 through the first 3 plus. First disengagement. Lindor with 6, Soto with 5, Yankees with 4. Cunha takes off, and he's just going to steal without a throw. That's steal number 8 of the year on a high fastball, ball 1. Ball 2. You want to change up the misses down and away, down and in. Lindor fouls that one off, 2-1. It doesn't get beyond the plate. Big off attempt at second, no good. Lindor fouls that one off again, 2-2. And Lindor swings at the heat. Strike 3, went after the cut fastball that went a bit away from him. Swung under it. 2 down. That's outside corner, ball 1. So fouls that one back towards the seats, 1-1. One, two, 1-1 pitch. That's also hooking down the left field line, foul. Up it just misses the outside corner, 2-2. Both foul down the first baseline this time. Last time St. Louis got a W over the Mets was in a road matchup. Was in August of 2023. It wasn't. It was back in April of 24. Full count. And that's strike three to end the inning. So the Mets get nothing across. The question is, can Tidwell repeat this success going for his third time around in the batting order? Or is the gamble finally going to, by moron Mendoza, finally going to backfire? 3.5 innings complete. We're tied at 2. There are times where he's been smart, but for the past week or so lately, Mendoza has been going out of his way to make moronic attempts at gambling with with pitcher gambling. DB, if you want to come in, you want to talk about it, the link's right here. I mean, I heavily question calling this kid up. Your big issue is with injuries in the bullpen. The rotation in, has been fairly healthy. Okay, so it looks like the Mets are going to shift McNeil to third. And Acuna is going to move to his natural spot at second. Oh, they've called. Oh, they're moving McNeil, taking McNeil out of the game and moving Vientos to third, and bringing in Mark Vientos to play third. Okay, I don't have an issue with this. They've moved McNeil to left, so that means Winker is out of the game. Ball one to Lars Nootbaar, or Pedro Pajas, excuse me. He's going to pop this one up. Vientos under it. One down. Paul Blackburn on rehab assignment. Threw 3 innings, 6 strikeouts, gave up 2 runs in Brooklyn for the Cyclones. That's just one to center. And Zokar got a late jump, and he'll have to play it on a hop. If it was Tyrone Taylor in center and not Jose Azokar, Taylor would be going after that ball. Once again, I question the gamble. And again, Tidwell fails in getting a clean inning. Here's Barrero. Ball one. Strike one. Of course, Jim Cott, after his baseball career ended on the diamond, he would switch to the booth doing game calls for both the St. Louis Cardinals. And then later, when I was getting into the game of baseball, DB, just click the link, would ya? 2-1. And that one plunks Guerrero, so it'll be runners on first and second. Caught him right on the back elbow. In my view, he shouldn't have been even given a leash whatsoever. Ball one. Gets this cutter 1-1. Pop up. Shallow left. McNeil coming on. Calls off a Zokar. 2 down. Cardinals 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position today. Mets 1 for 6 so far. Yep. Ball one. Ball two. Ball three, and he's about to load the bases again, unless he can get one over that damn plate. Please give this brat the hook. Ball four. Again, Jeremy Hefner now coming on to try to calm him down. Well, duh. You're basically duh. Of course, it's a hard first start from Keith. He's basically Mendoza threw him to the wolves right out of the bait. Why do I have to deal with a manager who is insistent on gambling with his pitching core like this? Can't blame him. Ball one again into the dirt with the fastball. You got Scott at third, Art Guerrero at second, and Burleson at first. Strike one. Goes low again and misses again. 2-1. Can you stop throwing low, kid? Two and two. Donovan lines one through the hole, base hit. That's going to score two. This is why you don't put fresh meat on the mound, you fucking moronic, compulsive gambling son of a bitch. And people wonder why I complain about Carlos Mendoza. This is why. Why do you go to fresh meat? Go with the players you know you can trust. This bullshit is gambling. Why do I have to deal with a manager who is such a nutcase when it comes to gambling with his pitching rotation and his bullpen? You never put fresh meat on the mound. It's simple logic. Never put fresh meat on the mound in their debut, especially in a doubleheader. There was no logic in calling this kid up. But Mendoza don't care because he's so busy gambling. Mendoza's got to die. I'm calling it now. Mendoza needs to die for this bullshit habit of his to gamble, being a moronic spendthrift with his pitching core. I am sick of this gambler. No matter how good of a start we get on, he'll always gamble it away on his needless desire to test new pitchers. Stick with the pitchers that have worked for this squad. 3-1. Instead of going to fresh players. This kid couldn't even get a clean and hasn't been able to get a clean inning at all. No 1-2-3 inning. Sure, Fetty hasn't been able to do the same thing either, but he's better when he gets through the third time around the batting order. Now, do I think the Cardinals are going to pull him after the fifth? Yes. Going down the left field line, but it's going to hook foul. There is no restraint with Mendoza when it comes to his gambling. Why doesn't Stevie Cohen threaten his job security? You gamble like this shit one more time, or if it goes too far and it costs the team a playoff spot, you're fired. That's what I would do if I was in Mendoza's shoes. If I was in Cohen's shoes. And it's another walk. Get off the mound, damn it! This is why I didn't want this kid on the mound. It's a fucking gamble! And Hennessy's Cabrera getting ready and getting set. No, really, Keith? It's a consequence of when you put fresh meat on the mound. But Mendoza don't care. He's too busy gambling. Swing and a miss, strike one to Cortez. And Contreras. I feel like I live in North Korea with Mendoza gambling games away like this. Any manager with half a brain would tell you to never put in fresh meat. Never put in fresh meat. Even for the sake of continuing a tradition that is bad. Doing this every fucking May the 4th. And that goes high, 1-2. One, two, ground ball through the hole, base hit. Another 2 runs home, 6-2 St. Louis. This is why, Mendoza, I never want to see you gamble again. You need to stop pitcher gambling like this shit. This is why I hate Carlos Mendoza. The compulsive habit to gamble on these pitchers. Tidwell getting the hook. Hennessy's Cabrera coming in. Men on the corners. 2 outs. 6-2 St. Louis. And all because Mendoza had to gamble on this fucking brat. And all because Mendoza decided to gamble away a game on this fucking brat. Disgusting. I mean, he hasn't used Edwin Diaz in over a week, and yet he's willing to gamble a game in a doubleheader away on a stupid little kid. I'm sorry, but that just disgusts me. Heck, 3 of the last 4 losses this team has suffered have been because of his inability to keep himself from from pitcher gambling. For me, enough is enough. Whether this team wins the World Series or not this year, I want this son of a bitch gone. And find me a manager who doesn't use analytics, who doesn't rely on gambling, but relies strictly on logic. No more, no less. Because instead of gaining a game and a half on Philadelphia, we're probably going to lose half a game again at best. And all because Mendoza is too busy gambling away a game with stupid decisions with the pitching core. Cabrera, and that one's fouled off by Gorman 0-1. Give me a garrote, and I'll strangle Mendoza to death with it. Or at least strangle him to a point where I won't kill him, but I'll get the point across to where he learns to never gamble with his pitching rotation again, with his pitchers ever again. Even if that means holding him over the edge of a building to get my point across. And force him to vow that he'll never gamble with his pitching core again. Because that's how much this fucker pisses me off. Fouled off again. Lifted to left. McNeil will catch it, inning over, but not before Tidwell shoots himself in the foot. And Mendoza shoots himself in the foot, keeping that brat out there. 4 innings complete. St. Louis 6 and the Mets 2. Cause, effect, and consequence are the principles I live by, folks, when it comes to baseball, especially in defeat. The cause: Carlos Mendoza putting a fresh meat pitcher on because he loves to gamble. Effect: he gets roughed up for 6 runs in 3 2/3 innings. The consequence: the Mets need to win the rubber match later tonight, are probably going to need to win the rubber match unless they can find some way to come back from this. And all because Mendoza is a stalwart, numbskull gambler with his pitching core. I don't know if Steve Cohen knew what he was getting himself into by hiring this motherfucker. But I think after the last year and a half and seeing how bad of a gambler he is, he does now. I mean, sure, I kind of got on Buck Showalter's case in 23 for the gambling, but keep in mind, the injury bug ran rampant across the Mets rotation, basically from pitching core, basically right before the start of the year because of the World Baseball Classic and Diaz blowing his leg out, forcing Showalter to gamble strictly out of necessity. There's been little to no justification for Mendoza to do the gambling he's done. Alonso leads off. He's got a pair of doubles so far. First pitch, strike one. And he just stares at it. Remember, this is Fetty's third go around in the order, so maybe he's calmed it down. 0-1, low and away, 1-1. Ball 2. Strike 2. That one he doesn't bother to chase. So that is a pitch he could normally go after. That's fouled off. Fouled off and going behind into the seats behind the plate. Entering today, Alonso leads the NL at 345 batting average. Now it's up to 356. Fouled off again. Takes one down the other lane. He's going to just foul. And this time he flies out, fly ball to right, heading towards the foul line. And Newbar gets it as he crashes into the net. One down. Nimmo grounds one to second. Gorman bobbles it briefly, but he'll scoop it back up. Two down. Come on, Arizona. Do something, you motherfuckers. Vientos first at bat, takes ball one. Swan and miss, 1-1. Another one bites the dust to the injury bud. 2-1. 1-2. Like I said, I feel like I live in North Korea whenever Mendoza does these stupid pitcher gambles. And then that eventually bleeds its way into the hitting core. 2-2. Full count. Damn. That's fouled off. Damn, Gary. Damn. Ball four. Torrens takes strike one. Once again, no clean inning for Fetty either. Torrens, slow roller, scooped up by Arenado. Inning over. Mets get a walk, but nothing else. Can they recover as we get halfway home? St. Louis 6, New York 2. One. At least Arizona's doing what they need to do. So we could gain a half game at best. 3-1 lead with Diamondbacks. I better check if I get Memorial, if I got Memorial Day on instead of off. Usually that day is all hands on deck. We're on for the next portion of work he has to get. All because Mendoza had to stupidly gamble this game. Bias leads off. Ball one. Bias lines one to the left. Caught by McNeil, one down. Question is now if you're St. Louis, do you pull Eric Fed? He's barely been able to go 5 innings in each of his last 5 starts. However, he has held the Mets to 2 runs on 5 hits. Most of the hits doubled. There's Victor Scott, who's gone on both times. He's not getting on this time. Acuna scoops it up, throws to Alonso, 2 down. So, looks like we may finally get a clean inning. 5.5. Just over 4 innings into this game. But it'll be done by a bullpen arm instead of the starters. Mostly again because You give Tidwell a kid the start, and it basically blows up in his face. I mean, Christian Scott had good stuff in his game against Tampa last year, but there was one downside: no offense to back. He had little to no offense to back him up in most of the starts he had, and then he had to go under the knife. And he's not due back until next season. Gary, you're a wee bit behind. It's now 3-1 Arizona through the fourth. 2-1. Never mind. We're not getting a clean inning from Cabrera either, as the ground ball goes in the left field for a base hit. And for Barrero. First hit in the year for Barrero. Good effort by Vientos, but he just couldn't time it right. New bar up next. This one popped up. Lindor goes out. Calls everyone off. Makes the catch. Inning over. So one hit coughed up. Still 6-2 St. Louis through five. Still 6-2 St. Louis through five. That was 2001, not 2009. McNeil starts off the 6, ball 1. I think this will basically be Fetty's last inning, no matter how the Cardinals do on this with this setup. Ball 2. It's chopped foul. I don't know why Jeff swung at it. I mean, I kind of do. It was just in the zone. 3 and run. It's fouled off. Payoff pitch to McNeil. Up and in, ball 4. That's walk number 5, coughed up by Fetty. Leahy and Romero warming up in the Cardinal bullpen. Acuna pops this one foul. It's going to outplay 0-1. So far, the Mets 0 for 5, third time through with a pair of walks, including the one that McNeil just got. That one nearly hits Acuna. 1-1. If it was Taylor, or some of the defensive goofs wouldn't have happened. Don't understand the whole gambling habit of Mr. Mendoza. 1 pitch, low and away, 2-1. In the dirt again, 3-1. Don't expect McNeil to take off on this pitch. Surprised he didn't make a cut at it. Full count. This will probably be the last batter for Fetty. Payoff on the way. Up the middle, base hit. McNeil will stop at second. I think that's going to be it for Erick Fetty. 101 pitches, 5 innings, 5 walks, 4 strikeouts, 2 hits, 2 runs, 6 hits. It's going to be Leahy who's going to come on to face a Zoker. This Coors Light call to the bullpen. We'll be right back. Runners on first and second, nobody out. Top 6, 6-2 St. Louis. And 6-2 St. Louis. I do want to stress the Mets don't win a lot of roadies whenever I'm doing these game calls on here on YouTube via the StreamYard. I mean, they won 2 last year when they did this set. Once against Pittsburgh, and then again in the playoffs against Los Angeles. Kyle Leahy now on. Zokar fouls one off a check swing down the first baseline, 0-1. Kyle Leahy in 15 games has got a 147 ERA, 18 and a third innings, 5 hits, 5 walks, 16 strikeouts, 2 homers allowed. 0-1 pitch. Strike 2. On the slider. I don't know why Azokar didn't go after it. Azokar is struck out and he's popped up. Ball 1. Fast. 4. Acuna will be gunned down at second, but nothing else. Though I question if the bag was even touched. But even if it wasn't, Gorman could just easily slide. Even if it wasn't, Barrero could just easily slap a tag on and get him and get Acuna out as he slid anyway. Lindor 0 for 3. He struck out twice and grounded to second. Ground to second. First pitch. And he takes ball 1. On a fastball, on a middle out fastball. Curveball, 1-1. That's fouled off by Lindor, 1-2. One-two pitch on the way. Tap, short. Throws the ball away, and it's going to score a run. But Barrero just threw it too high for where Contreras would have been able to catch it. And the Mets get at least one of the runs they coughed up back. It's now 6-3. Okay, there's the step in the bag. So that advances Lindor to second as the ball goes out of play. So it's going to be a force out and an E6. No RBI for Lindor. Here's Soto. He takes ball 1 up on the fastball up and away. Strike 1. So it doesn't bother chasing those curveballs. I don't know why. 1-2. So that has not been good when it comes to runners in scoring position in RASP scenarios. In the dirt, 2-2. 3-2. Heath, don't jinx it. Payoff, and he just stared at it again. Why is Soto not bothering to cut loose on the payoffs? That was a sinker right over the plate, and he low over the plate, and he doesn't bother chasing it. Mets get one run back on one hit, one error, and strand a runner in scoring position. 5.5 complete, St. Louis 6, and the Mets 3. Sounds like mom's back. Oh, one at Burleson. Broken back, grounded back to Cabrera, and he'll just flip it to Alonso, one down. Buff Blunt, strike one by Donovan to Don. That one almost hit him, 2-1. That almost rang Brendan Donovan's bell. so to speak. Strike two, two. From the right center, Soto under it, makes the catch. Moves in on it, makes the catch, two down. Ball one to Arenado. Ball two. Pull. Fair ball. And Arenado will have to hit the brakes. Instead of getting a double, he'll have to settle for a single. And again, the common theme with this game, neither team is able to get a clean 1-2-3 inning. And continuing to rear its ugly head. And Mendoza is going to give Cabrera the hook. The question is who's going to put in now. It's going to be Huascar Brazaban. It's going to be Huascar Brazaban he's going to put on. I don't have an issue with this one. And Brazovan plunks Contreras on his first pitch. He's got him on the elbow pad. Another game that was gambled away by Moron Mendoza. Ball one. Comebacker off the foot though, on 1-1. Now back 1-2. Just inside 2-2. 2-2 in the dirt. 2 in full count. The Mets don't count as they couldn't even play yesterday due to the rain. That's fouled off. Up high, but he got him looking. That ends the inning. But once again, a recurring pattern with this game for both sides. Neither team's pitching core has been able to get a clean inning. We go to the seventh. It's St. Louis 6 and the Mets 3. Alonso pops up the first pitch to right. Newbart are under, and he's got it 1 down. Granted, in Lay's defense, that run was charged to Fetty, not him, but the point still applies. Nimmo up next. And an error. Up and away, ball 1. Strike 1. Strike 2 on the curve. And then the Mets will get the Cubs after a travel day to get home on Thursday. Ball 2. You want to change in the dirt. Slow tapper. That's going to go foul. Foul off again, and we'll do the 2-2 pitch again. Well, that's the consequence and a trade off of going for power over OBS. Full count. And Lay's payoff is a cutter up and well outside, ball 4. But the Mets have not been able to capitalize on said walks. That screams lateral strain, if you ask me. Vientos walked in his first appearance, and he's going to foul that one off on 1. Slow roller. 6, 4, 3. And this time they do get the double play to end the inning. Still not really a clean inning because even though they got all 3 batters that were due up, it required a double play to get the job done. You still let a man get on base. So we go to the stretch. St. Louis 6, New York 3 through 6.5. Of course, I'm going to be back on later this afternoon with Mega Man and G to do our Mega Mets podcast prognostications for New Japan Pro Wrestling's Best of the Super Juniors, which is coming up this coming Saturday night. This Saturday. Better be sure it'll be ready in a couple of hours. And now the Mets are going to bring in more fresh meat. Austin Warren will come on to face Pedro Pajes, Victor Scott, and Jose Barrero at minimum. I again question this stupid bullpen gamble. Because what's been the pattern for the Mets the last 10 games? Most of these games, especially the ones we've lost, have boiled down to Mendoza making stupid gambles with his pitching core. There's the 2011 club of St. Louis, a team that had one of the lowest winning percentages to ever win a World Series. They entered that year with that postseason with an 83-79 record, which was barely enough to scrape by to win to win a wild card spot. They took down to win a wild card spot. They took down Philadelphia, uh, bludgeoned Milwaukee. It wasn't the Dodgers, and then they took Texas to 7. Miracle hits by David Freese. Most World Series titles all time. The Yankees with 27. St. Louis has got 11. Boston with 9. And then you got 8 with the Dodgers, the A's, and a handful of other teams. Warren in 7 pop-ups this year, 4.35 ERA, 7 starts, 2-0 record. 1-1 pitch, ground ball. Lonzo with the dive, throw, scoops it, and he got him. Way to stay heads up by Austin Warren. He got Pajes by about a country mile on that catch. What a bounce on the throw by Alonso. This guy has singled and scored. He singled twice, including a bunt single, and he scored 1-0 pitch. Way upstairs, 2-0. Went around, 2-1. Too high, 2-2. 3-1. Something along those lines, Keith. Remember, the Mets have to face them Memorial Day weekend. 3-1 pitch is low and away, ball 4. Low and in, ball 4. And the no clean inning for either side pattern continues. Well, again, Gary, that's a consequence when you're putting fresh meat in and gambling like Mendoza loves to gamble. Guerrero up next. Takes one up and in, ball 1. Well, duh. Shortcomings that would never come if Mendoza wasn't busy gambling games away like a fucking imbecile. Strike 1. Guerrero's been blown and grounded out. plunked, scored a run, and he singled. Maryland fouls one back, 2-2. Phil Maton getting ready to be the setup man for the Cardinals. That's foul. It's now 7-2 Arizona in the fifth. After a Yohan Rojas single. That was after the fact that Arizona was basically playing small ball to start this game against Philadelphia. That's popped up, and that's going into the seats. We'll do it again. Crowd and Boost Stadium now doing the Mexican wave just to pass the time. Keep themselves warm, or both. In the latter case, I can't blame them. And the latter case, I wouldn't be able to blame them. Payoff pitch, swung on a minute, strike 3, 2 down. Especially one that up and in. Newbar has been the more defensive piece today than he has been offensive. First pitch is fouled off. Pop foul, 0-2. Warren was originally drafted by the Angels in 2018 as a sixth-round pick. 29-year-old from Fayetteville, and the wave continuing the background. Newbar fly balls to left. McNeil heading to the corner. He'll make the catch. That ends the inning. But not a clean scoreless seventh. But it is enough to keep this game where it's at. Through 7. St. Louis Cardinals 6, New York Mets 3. Yeah, overshot. Foul. Bill Maton, no stranger to the Mets, was a trade deadline acquisition for them last year. It was a pitcher that Mendoza loved to overtax. Constantly went out of his way to overtax. Maton has been about where he was when the Mets got him last year. And now Francisco Alvarez comes on to pinch hit for Torrens. Oh, no, it's still Torrens. My bad. Strike one. Like I said, Maton. Two and one. My guess is that last year he was throwing it soft as a means to sacrifice his the velo and break force he was putting on it for finesse. 3 and 1. Swung on a miss on one high and away. I don't know why Torrens chased it. Full count. Can't blame him. And Acuna in the foxhole. Payoff pitch. Takes a low cutter, ball 4. Problem is, with the 7 walks, the Mets have not been able to capitalize on it. McNeil fouls the first pitch off on 1. It was a curveball. And ran in on him. Of course, you realize this means walk. Fouls that one off on 2. McNeil scored on the walk and then scored on the fielder's choice error combo back in. Just outside, 1 and 2 to McNeil. Arenado, 34-year-old, second round pick from 16. This is his 17th year in the leagues, or 13th year in the league. He was picked up in 2009 by the Rockies. He's in that year's draft. Fouled off down the third baseline by McNeil. We'll do it again. Here's hoping this game doesn't go beyond 3 hours. And McNeil fouls that one off, this time down the first baseline. We'll do it again. As an A, I believe. No, he was an Oriole that year. Never mind. That one's fouled off. The next three were won by the Athletics in from 71 to 73. Of course, the A's were a constant threat to win it all throughout the 70s and throughout the 70s. Well, McNeil's at least making Maton work. 1-2 pitch again. And this is a pop foul going to the seats behind the plate. Yeah, the game that Mendoza foolishly gambled away by bringing in Stanek. Because the Mets had no discipline at the plate when it came to making hit, getting contact with the bat. If he can. Pitch number 9 on the way. Grounds balls. And they'll have to just settle for a force out. One down. It would have made more sense for Contreras to just retreat back to the bag. And just retreat, to backpedal as fast as he can back to the bag and then try to throw out Torrens. But either way, it would just get one. You'd still be stuck with a runner on. He slaps one through the hole, base hit in the right. McNeil's going to hit the brakes and go to second, and now Jose Azocar is up. But the question is, do you swap him out for Tyrone Taylor now? Who do you swap him out for? It's going to be Tyrone Taylor, which means Taylor will be playing center for the rest of the game. Tyrone Taylor coming on. Pinch hit. Well, now it's at 316. Taylor has been the predominant center fielder for the Mets so far this year, but he's only batting .221 with a .601 OPS. He takes a curveball, strike one. Then again, Taylor's not really a curveball hitter. He's a fastball hitter, and that's what he's waiting for. Throw the whole base hit. That's going to get McNeil home at least. Nope. They're going to hit the brake. Scarborough hits the brake, and that's going to load the bags for Lindor, who has not had a good day today. He struck out twice, popped up. if he can get it. That led to an error that was followed up with an error. Come on, Lindy. Ball one. That cutter bends into the zone. 1-1. He does have 7 career salamis. Let's see what this one breeds. Medora grounds one through the hole. Base hit. That's going to bring home 2. McNeil is in. Acuna right behind him. And it's now 6-5 St. Louis. Three RBI day for Lindor, and the Mets have pulled within 1. On a fastball down and away, down and in on him. Here comes Soto, who has not been very successful so far this year in these situations. Now he has a chance to tie it. Runners on first and second, 1 out. Interesting choice, and it's not Hazley, it's JoJo Romero, who was up getting ready back in the 6th inning. I don't know about this move by the manager of the Cardinals, Marmol, or whatever his name is, but I'm willing to see how this plays out for St. Louis. Why do I have a feeling this is going to be about a 3-hour game at worst? And that's mostly due to all the productivity on both sides. From both sides. Most of the games I've done with games that go around that pass the 2.5-hour mark for me lately have been where it's been productive on one side of the ball, not 2. Again, the no clean inning curse comes back to bite one of the teams, and in this case, it's St. Louis, as they're laying a 4-run lead, start to get away from them, as the Mets have scored 3 unanswered runs in a 3-inning span. Man, dating back to the 6th inning. For Lindor, he's now at 19 RBIs on the season. Met hitters 3 for 11 with runners in scoring position to the 3 for 10 for St. Louis. And here is JoJo Romero. This is his 14th appearance in the year. He's walked 7, struck out 7, given up 9 hits, 10 in the 3rd innings, and a 6.1 ERA. Takes strike 1, does Soto. Question is, will he even swing at this pitch? And he does, and it's a heater that he goes way overboard on it, 0-2. So it takes one up and in near its face, 1-2. So this year has been pretty bad. 1 homer, 8 RBIs with runners in scoring position, 4 for 24. 2-2. And that home run with runners in scoring position, it was against Houston. Full count as that ball gets in the dirt, but not far enough for where Taylor can take off for third, but not far enough away from where Taylor can take off for third base. Timeout for the catcher. Crucial pitch for both sides. Payoff from Romero on its way. Outside ball four. Loads the bags again for the Mets. And Alonso is coming up. And that's a one man you don't want to face if you're Jojo Romero. But you have to because of the three batter rule per relief pitcher that was established during the COVID season. Alonso has doubled twice, but he's flown out each of his last two at bats. Now, if he flies out, it could tie the game. He just needs to get into the outfield. Ball one. He just needs to hit it into the outfield, to at least give Taylor that chance to tag up. 1-0 pitch. He fouls it off. Ground ball is not what you want if you're Alonso in this situation. You need to loft this one deep into the outfield. If you're Pete Alonso, you've got Taylor at third, Lindor at second, Soto at first. You're down a run. You need one to tie. You're chasing one run. Ball, cutter, or middle out, 2-1. With runners in scoring position this year, Pete is hitting .387, 3 doubles, 4 homers, 21 RBIs, and 16 runs driven. And he scored 16 runs. Paez and Contreras going to calm Romero down. Two line, and Pete takes it. It just catches the edge of the zone. 2-2. Blowing away. 3-2. So a full count again. What do you do if you're Alonso? Do you take or do you chase? He swings it, but it's going to go foul over the netting down the first baseline. We'll do it again. Here it comes. And he fouls it off again, this time to the backstop. And he goes down staring at it. And Pete can't believe he took the bait. He thought that was ball four. The backdoor slider. Pete thought it was ball four. Instead, it's strike three, and he can't capitalize. It's now up to Nimmo. Strike one. Hello, Jacob. In the dirt, 1-1. Emma whips at a fastball, swung over it, 1-2. Come on, Nim, whack it, whack it, whack it, whack it. It's hit to center, but it's playable. Scott's under it, makes the catch. Mets only get 2 of the 3 runs they need, of the 4 runs they needed back. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Mets and Cardinals 6, Mets 5. Mets will chase 1 going into the 9th at best. He had swung at that slide at the backdoor slider and fouled it off. Maybe things would be a little different. He would have gotten his pitch with a hit into the outfield and the game would have been tied worse. Instead, the Mets are down 1 going in, or still chasing 1 going into the top of the 9th. And they have the bottom of the middle portion of their order coming up in the forms of Mark Vientos, Luis Torrens, and Jeff McNeil. All of whom have gotten on base with walks, but not gotten hits. Busted. The only saving grace for the Mets right now is that Philadelphia is down 7-2 in the 6th to the Arizona, and we could still gain at least half a game in the nightcapper in a couple of hours. Still get pick up a half game over Philadelphia with a win in the nightcapper at best. And there you see the outside of the Museum of the Budweiser Brewery Museum. Reed Garrett will be coming on to pitch the bottom of the 8th. Been a while since we've seen him on the mound for the Mets. Burleson up first, and he takes ball 1 low and away. Now, don't make no mistake, the Mets have won the season series against him this season. In the first 5 this season, after winning each of the first 5. Taking the 4-game series over the Easter weekend, and then taking the first game on Friday before this game ended up getting washed out yesterday. That's fouled off, 2-1. 2-1. Outside, 3-1. But then again, this is a consequence of bringing a guy who's been relatively cold due to lack of usage. Swing and a miss at the sweeper. 3-2. Payoff. This one to center. Taylor, who's now in at center field, comes on, makes the catch. Road ahead for the Mets. Next three will be after today's doubleheader will be in Arizona. Then a travel day to need to play home against the Cubs and the Pirates, and then a travel game day where the Subway Series will be available on MLB.TV, which is how I'll be watching it and covering the games as often as I can. All one. Ball two. Strike one as that barely catches the edge. Ball three. Hey, full count. Rand, that was a road trip I wish I could forget because of Mendoza's need to gamble on the game against one of the games against Anaheim, and how we got basically our asses handed to us in Seattle. Payoff pitch, fouled off. Ball four, and again, failure to get the clean inning. Thing is rearing its ugly head in this game. 5 walks now for New York pitchers, as opposed to the 8 given up by St. Louis pitching. Strike one. Ball two, one. Ball to Acuna, throw a second one on the first, but Alonso comes off the bag. Let's see, there's one. Yeah, he was off the bag. He's safe. I don't think so. Nope. Yes. Call's going to stand. And that's going to stand in my view. Yeah, I figured that was a dumb gamble. Even I could tell from each angle that Pete's foot had come off the bag. Arenado was safe. Can Garrett do what none of the other Met pitchers have been able to do when they face him? Swing and a miss at the sweeper. With the slider on line. Strike two. Outside, 1-2. Mets will have to send Vientos, McNeil, and Terenza McNeil up unless they want to pinch hit for both. But I don't know how you play it. 1-2 coming. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Inning over. The Mets will now have to face Ryan Helsley to see if they can get two off him at minimum going into the ninth. It's St. Louis 6, New York 5 going into the ninth. Last chance for New York. That's going to bring it down. Shallow. 12. Yes. Taylor's going to attack me. A two-run bomb at Citi Field that won it for New York. First pitch to Vientos, and he's going to line one into the gap in the right center field for a leadoff single. It'll be Starling Marte, the pinch run. And we know what that means is a trade-off. You got to move McNeil from left to third base since Marte's not an infielder. He's an outfielder by trade. So again, no clean inning. Strike one to Torrens. McNeil waits on deck, and it's Acuna in the foxhole. Helsley 4 for 6, and this is 7th attempt to close a game out. That one's fouled off. 1 1. 0 2, excuse me. Mason Wynn now coming on to play short to try to close the game out, do more for defensive purposes and maybe even hitting purposes. 0-2 to Torrens. He's going to foul that one off at the plate. Down the third base line. We'll do it again. Against the Mets, he's 0 for 5 for St. Louis. The Cardinals are. But against everyone else, they're 500. Hoping to at least break that little snippet. 0-2, and he goes down swinging. 1 down. Chase the slider in the middle slot. Hang slider got way out in front of that one. He takes a curveball, strike one. I don't know what. Changes the heater. 0-2. No way to catch that one. In and out of the glove of Pajes. That keeps McNeil alive. 0-2. Check swing, gets away, and Marte will go to second. Ball 2. McNeil launches one to right, but Newbar's got it. Marte tags up. He'll go to third. Now the Mets are down to their last out. And McNeil knew he didn't hit it hard enough to go over Newbar's head. Takes first pitch low. It's a ball, 1-0. That is a bullshit call for a strike. 1-1. Acuna pops it up. Marrero calls it off. Game over. St. Louis wins 6-5. All because of a bullshit gamble at the start of the game by Carlos Mendoza by putting in a rookie in Blake Tidwell. Give me some middle fingers for Mendoza in the chat. Final score 6-5 St. Louis. This game, Cardinals go to 15-19. Mets drop to 22-12. And to make it worse, Philly is coming back against Arizona as they're now as a lead that was 1-7-2 has been cut to 7-5 after a 3-run homer by Weston Wilson in the sixth. And Arizona is falling asleep on the job after getting 7 collective runs over a 2-inning stretch. Comment, like, share, and subscribe to not just myself, but the other members of the ABSN. Mets 2128 signing out. Goodbye. Good fucking night. Bang.